Well, hello, everybody. Good evening and welcome once again to Soccer's Overtime, your weekly look inside the San Diego Sockers and the Major Arena Soccer League, coming to you live on Twitch with Tony Sanchez. I'm Craig Elston. We are back with you an hour later than normal. Little Gold Cup rehearsal delay. Nonetheless, we persevere and we show up and post up for you every week between here and the Ron Newman Cup, talking about everything in the world of the MASL. How are you, Tony?
I am doing wonderfully. I'm a little sore. I laced it up a little bit in preparation for the Sockers halftime media game March 10th, but I'll tell you, it's a little rusty.
Are you now questionable for March 10th after playing so much of the Chrome Ball Tour?
Absolutely. Some of it was doubtful at a time, but I think we'll be able to make it, and we'll put on a show for everybody.
All right, excellent. You can check in with Paul Savage to get some of the Soccer's recovery equipment. Oh, I'm sorry. It's all being used. Half the team's hurt. You're going to have to wait in line.
Yeah, I'll wait my turn. I think they'll be more important to get back up to speed.
Well, let's get things rolling. This is season 6, episode 16 of Soccer's Overtime. We're calling this one Painful Points. 8 out of 9 points secured last week, but at cost. Here's what's on the show tonight. Who's left to play? San Diego's as banged up as we have ever seen this team, but there could be some good news on the horizon. In Soccer's news, we'll give you the best injury report we can. Special guest Juan Salazar makes his Soccer's Overtime debut. He'll talk about his transition from outdoor to indoor. And, of course, the Sockers play and win 3 matches in 6 days. We got all the highlights. Busiest week of the season. Triple match recap coming up. Plus, MASL news. Baltimore keeps pushing. Kansas City keeps sinking. Comets star announces he's off the team, but is he? And Dallas wins. Dallas wins. Plus, we'll scoot our boots. We'll break down all the fun. Country night coming up. That's happening in Soccer's news. It's all happening right here on Soccer's Overtime. Big thanks to everybody who's watching us live on Twitch. Twitch.tv/San Diego Sockers is our destination. And for everyone who is here, and maybe anyone who is here and there for the first time, please do us a favor. Click on follow. You'll be alerted when we go live in the future. Click like, add your comments. We thank you for being here. Everyone watching the YouTube replay, we love you equally. It's all good. It's all good. Please click like. Please click subscribe. Add some positive comments. And if you happen to be a podcast consumer, all good in the eardrums. It's beautiful to us. How about a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts? How about a quick little written review right there? It doesn't hurt the crew. Helps us out a lot. All righty. We've made it to triple match recap territory, Tony. Are you ready for our most challenging recap? Triple Lindy here as we go off all 3 diving boards at once.
Okay, let's do it. It was a interesting week, to say the least.
I'll say a week that got better and better and better for the San Diego Sockers, but it didn't start off great. A Tuesday night reschedule from the January 7th water main break game, and the Sockers couldn't break through early. Tavoy Morgan had that chance 6 seconds into the match to put him up 1-0. Couple other early chances go wanting, and then, simple inattention on an overly casual pass. The weight was too slow. It sent in Uzi. Mitchell had a little bit of a bobble there, but Felipe's ball was pretty slow as well. And Uzi takes a gift and makes it 1-0 San Diego. All gifts will be accepted, and Texas takes that 1-0 lead.
Yeah, it looked like Texas was kind of throwing stuff to the wall to see what would stick, and things were actually sticking. Uzi Tayu just doing his best up top and just being a disruptor. All of a sudden, the Sockers find themselves in a place where any little mistake was being capitalized by the Outlaws, and really putting the Sockers in a very precarious position early on. And honestly, I love the way the Texas played and gave a challenge to the Sockers. But here, un golazo.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. Great counter down the floor, sent up to Tavoy, and then the 1-2 with Felipe, and back to Tavoy for his 17th goal of the season. This is his last point scored of the week, unfortunately, for the Soccer's leading scorer. It was the first goal of the first match. But as we know, in the second quarter, Tavoy Morgan's week would be over with, certainly not his season. But Texas really stayed in this match. We're going through the highlights here on Soccer's Overtime. Eric Macias, this shot from long range that, it's kind of a double screen. Juan Gonzalez is semi in the way. Cardenas is semi in the way. It gets through the short post on Boris there. Texas has the advantage. Boris gets hit in the face on the double save here. Could have been 3-1. Great double save by Boris, who came in ill to this match. He was not feeling good. It was only about an hour or so before the match that he was officially put into the lineup. And it was a game of challenges. Meanwhile, San Diego peppering the net. And here's where Eduardo Poyo Cortez starts to show up in the highlight reel. Boy, he was good on Tuesday night, Tony.
He was something special that day. And it was really a treat to see a performance like that. And again, it's not just saying that the Sockers didn't throw everything or were at their best, because they were really being concrete with some of these chances. And Pollo Cortez, whether it be air, through land, through sea, what was the Del Mar thing? Where
the surf meets the turf?
Where the surf, take a plane, take a train, take a car.
Yeah, there you go.
Was being stopped by Pollo Cortez this night. A fantastic performance in the goalkeeping net.
It was. And then, of course, we're also seeing some highlights of, missed opportunities, right? There's one for Craig Giles. You saw a couple earlier as well. And right here, this is where everything changes. And you know what? I pause it for just a second, if you would, Tony, because up until this point, with 4:12 left in the second quarter, this was a match that at one point I described on the match broadcast. I would stick with this description up to this point. It was an NBA team on a Tuesday night playing a team that they were supposed to beat. Texas was without 7 of their regulars, their top 5 scorers, and they were kind of, it's a low energy crowd. It's a low attendance crowd. And the Sockers were pretty much playing to the level of the competition, doing what an NBA team does on a night like that. Like, hey, you know what? We're going to kind of cruise through this one, and we'll look up with 5 minutes left and see what the score is. And, if we're right there or a little bit behind, we'll push past them. We'll use our last 5 minutes to win. Point of fact, they did that. They were a great team in the last 5 minutes of this match, and they won the match. But right here, with 4:12 to go in the second, everything changes for Phil Salvaggio and the San Diego Sockers, because Tavoy Morgan goes over the wall. Charlie Gonzalez had gone hopping into the bench just seconds before that. At the next timeout, they both get off of the floor, and the Sockers needed to recalibrate, adjust, change without 2 of their most important offensive players. And I felt like when I watched back this entire match earlier this weekend, because it was the one that kind of stuck in my craw. And I think that's one thing that I could have done a better job of noting on the broadcast, instead of just kind of being like, boy, the Sockers level isn't there. It's difficult to adjust to losing 2 critical players like your number 1 and 2 scorers in Tavoy and Charlie in a bing bong back to back.
Yeah, and if you look at it that way, it's a matter of a great job that the Sockers did, because something that was being asked of this team is to be dynamic, to be a team that was able to adjust through health, even if the players were there in different scenarios. And that's something that we haven't seen. They were stoic in a sense and really sticking to their guns and to their style. And sometimes that puts the Sockers in a difficult position. But here, honestly, without those options to go to, just kudos to being able to have that knowledge to see, you know what, this is not working. We're going to have to approach it in a different way on the fly. And it's not going to take 5 minutes. You're going to need to go into the half. You're going to have those discussions. You're going to have the adjustments. And even then, you have to regulate that temperature. It's not just a set it and forget it. As you go, you have to be just toying with it. So I think it was a good display of Phil Salvaggio and the coaching crews just being in tune with a game like this.
Yeah. So, bottom line, when I went back and watched it, I didn't think there was really anything particularly unfair, but I still thought I was a little hard on the Sockers on Tuesday night. Given the Tavoy absence, the Charlie absence, mid-game, the adjustments that have to be made. But honestly, Texas also really, really came to play. And I think the thing we did the very most on Tuesday's broadcast is we praised the Outlaws. We praised them over and over again. There you see Tavoy going off. Charlie right behind him. There he goes. Exactly what we were talking about. But this was the Outlaws game to win. They had this one. They had the opportunities. Here comes Pee Wee to change things. A couple of long goals from that same spot in this match. Tony, turned out to be determinative. Pee Wee and Mitchell later.
Yeah, it's almost like this is what it had to take to get past Pollo Cortez's performance, right? It was a fantastic accumulation of moments and goals that overall just took the Sockers over the edge. And to the credit of the players too, right? You have a depleted team, and there needed to be some of the Sockers players to step up. And Pee Wee has also been that, having some important moments so far in the season.
Here was a spot where I thought Craig Giles was going to be out for the
Yeah.
rest of the week, kind of lunging awkwardly at that ball. And to be honest, by the time we get to the end of Sunday's highlights, there you'll be able to count on a hand the number of Sockers players who aren't injured or at least banged up. It's to that level now for San Diego. We're just kind of seeing the early parts of it here, and this is a string of frustrating moments for the club. This was a frustrating match overall, and when you get a hot goalkeeper performance in the middle of a match where there's also a little bit of disconnection, boy, it winds up feeling like you're up against a brick wall.
Yeah, and to continue that narrative of, hey, the Outlaws played great. They really did. And there's nothing you can really do with an inspired side like this to quell that fire on the other side. You just have to take care of yourself. And when a great stops, great positioning by Boyle, it just happens. You see, Craig, the frustration, the hands to the head, just the disbelief of like, did that really not go in? Did that really not? And then just the counter attack and a chance once again of pure joy and happiness from Uzi there. But that right there is just a microcosm of this match. It's a frustration on the offensive side. They get a chance and they bury it past Pardo.
Uzi Tayu playing forward. First time I've ever seen him play forward. And of course, the Sockers answer right back. This Pardo assist to Childs, huge moment in terms of game flow in the match. But over the course of 2 games, Uzi Tayu turned Mitchell Cardenas and turned Guerrero Pino. In consecutive matches, he took the 2 best defenders on the team, 2 of the best defenders in the league, and he's a defender who's considered not to be fast or necessarily that quick. And he turned them both, and he scored great goals. This was the ultimate. Here's Uzi's assist on the power play
Everywhere.
for 4-3 Texas. I will just say straight up, as soon as I saw this guy, Uzi Tayu, a player who has been a defender his whole career, the first shift I saw him up top, I was like, oh my God, I am just such a fan. I'm such a fan of this moment, of this man, of just like this moment in his career, being opportunistic. And my goodness, the level of success he had. I definitely think he and Frank had some talk about, like, Frank, maybe you should have been the defender. Maybe I should have been the one up top.
Yeah, I mean, and you play against the best, right? Like that's what happens in growing up. One of them has to be the goalkeeper, one has to be the defender, the other one has to be attacking. So it's a one-on-one battle. So he picked up some tips there. It's always great to see out of position players doing great stuff, whether it's a outfield player playing goalkeeper or vice versa. It's a joy to watch that sometimes. And otro golazo, I'm telling you, puro golazo here.
Now, this is where Pollo, you're just like, well, maybe Pollo's just going to win this game by himself.
Mm-hmm.
At 4-4, Craig almost gets the flying Walenda, the flying scissor kick. Another great stop by Pollo, counting it down here. But the Sockers at this point in control of this match. And then a great turn. Here it is. Christian Gutierrez turns Aguirre, forcing Pollo out. Tips it off the wall. Very gentle, very calm play by Christian down there in the corner. And after it gets into Macias's legs, it's right there for Felipe for a simple tap in for 5-4. And what turned out to be the match winner.
Yeah, and obviously had to take that. That's the moment that I think as a player, like even at the end of it, he still got a hand on it. Boya was fighting and got entangled there with the defender, and it had to take just some happenstance, some luck, some fortune to have that ball just travel there and have that be the game winner. I felt for Boya as a former goalkeeper myself, but you know what? At the end of the day, it is what it is.
And for Texas as well. This was a match that they could have won without Morales and Ortiz and Dantas and Mendez and De Leon and Acunte and like all the way down the line, all the guys that were out in that match. Defenders playing up top. They ran a power play. They had 3 defenders on the power play. It's like Cody Ellis and Aguirre up top and Uzi's down low trying to time people. And I'm just going like, I mean, this is in a weird way. It's like delightful, just to see a team that's kind of circled the wagons and come together. And that was Texas's match to win. They didn't win. Soccers do this. The Soccers have this level. They have this ability to win a match when they didn't play their best. And while, I'm not saying I caught any flack, but like, oh, you're so negative in that game. Like, you're so negative. You're so tough on the team. You're so negative. Like, that was not us at our best on Tuesday. And I've seen the Soccers at their best, and I've seen the Soccers lose in situations when, like, quite frankly, skipping ahead slightly, Sunday, if they had lost, you would not have heard a word from me of dissent, because the club was doing the very, very best they could under the circumstances that they had. But I didn't think they were doing the very, very best they could for parts of Tuesday's match. And then they caught themselves in a match. You know what I mean? It's like, you didn't mean to be here. All of a sudden you're here. You're in the trap. Now you're in the bear trap. And here's Pollo swatting everything away. And what are you going to do? You're down for the 4th time tonight. What are you going to do? And the Soccers took control. They controlled the last 11 minutes. They really didn't allow Texas, unlike Chihuahua. When Chihuahua took the lead, Chihuahua just strangled the match. Just took all the air out of it and controlled the ball, and the Soccers couldn't really even get the ball back. And when they did, there was Reynoso to stop them. That's where the similarity is for sure. But sometimes that really good NBA team that didn't necessarily come out of the locker room ready to win finds it in the last 5 minutes. And the Soccers found this one in the last 5 minutes.
And obviously it's a team that we know has that category. They are in a upper echelon talent wise and roster wise, where they have a chance and they know that they should be the ones with the victory at the end of it. And everybody else knows that. So when that doesn't seem to be the trajectory mid match, I think that's when, it's easy to lose oneself in okay, well, this can be a slippery slope, and you can find yourself in a situation where this is going to get out of hand, because we've seen it, and this can be one of those matches. Fortunately, this wasn't a case. They were able to pull it out, and look, that's what makes these. Again, I refer to this the championship mentality. If that's going to be this team that they're going to claw and scratch and persevere, then I'm going to be very glad to have this team represent the West in anything here coming up. If that's the aspiration, because Savage is still there. Savage still there. You didn't have the answers for Chihuahua, and you did find the answers for Tacoma, a tricky matchup, a tricky setup. So I think that's a positive, a net positive there overall.
All right, so skip ahead to Thursday. And when we were coming in for this match, first off, the third kits are out. Don't call them gas lamp. Call them the third kits, but they're gorgeous and they're fun. And we just get this fun first quarter with 6 total goals. Soccers looking sharp, some really attractive play. This one, maybe not the most attractive from Pollo's standpoint, as he probably hopes he could have taken a piece of that away. But nonetheless, 1-0 for San Diego right off the top, announcing this will be a different match than what we saw on Tuesday. Texas, of course, still coming to play. And Uzi still coming to play, because, listen, if he's going to score, how about just 4 bangers in 2 games? Let's just get 4 of the better goals of the league in 2 games. And this one is a top 5 for the year.
Yeah, one of the most impressive displays of strikers. I don't care what his natural position is. For me, in those last two games, this was striker mode. Give him a different position on the baseball card type performances. But this right here, it's just the ability to really go dig deep for that resource of making that move and hoping that it goes the right way and it going past part. I think Boris himself was just besides himself. Like, did that really go in? And yeah, that ended up happening. A really fun match, like you're saying. Different tempo, different acceleration, different transitions. It was just the energy was very, very, very vibrant, I'd say.
Soccer's got a power play, put a new unit out there. Drew Ruggles up top, gets the ball to his left foot, makes no mistake to tie the match at 2-2. Now, again, coming into this match, Soccer's playing without Tavoy, playing without Charlie. Leonardo de Oliveira, who played Tuesday, was sat out on Thursday. Costa already out. So 4 of the top 6 gone for San Diego. And then for Texas, flying in from Argentina, David Ortiz and Sebastian Mendez. And so you kind of felt, as this just great play, Flavio gets it started, Flavio finishes it. Flavio Guzman, welcome to the Soccers, your first goal as a San Diego Soccer. He clearly is not at full strength right now with the hamstring, but this certainly the best flurry we've seen of him with the new club.
Yeah, confidence booster there, being able to get that scrappy play finish. You get Ruggles here heading it into the ground, just getting some contact on there, and just this pinball action just ends up with Flavio getting that boost of confidence that he, I think, needed here at the Soccers.
Then Guerrero Pino gets something started with a steal, just misses on his shot, but there's Pee Wee to keep the secondary attack alive. It's an all-defender attack as it's Pee Wee to Serta for 4-2. Really well done. And as we talk about these lineups, the Soccers made a really risky strategic decision, Tony, and we talked about it on the match broadcast. They decided to constrict their lineup. They have a 14 field player lineup, and they decided to create a lineup that would use only 11 of the 14 that would have every position going in twos, meaning one alternating for the other, except for forward, where you had Tavoy with Juan Salazar with Christian Gutierrez. Now, here is a classic moment in this match. Sebastian Mendez draws a penalty. You can see on the replay, and you could even see it better on a different angle, absolutely no contact between Felipe Gonzalez and Sebastian Mendez. Like, literally no contact. Did not touch him. Ball no lie situation, even though this is later in the match that Uzi scored. They did not score on the power play that Mendez scored. Just look, turning Pino, it's Uzi's day. But just, paying off for Susan in the chat. Every single time that Mendez touched the ball the rest of the match, like an Aztecs game, when the backup point guard for Wyoming comes in, they just booed every motion of Mendez, almost forcing him to release the ball sooner just to keep the boos off of his body. It was delightful. It was a great effort by the Soccers fans.
Yeah, and you can't say that didn't have any effect on the play, because he was on the ball very late in the game in important matches, and exactly, he got it, and it just added that extra bit of pressure. Kudos to the Soccers fans for being intelligent and following the match. Not like we've seen other players with Wrexham and Man United. The goalkeeper fouls somebody and they switch him out halftime and nobody knows. They're just booing the goalkeeper. No, these are intelligent fans here. The Soccers fans are.
When it got down to 4-3, it looked a little scary. Huge play there with our guest coming up, Juan Salazar, helping set up for Felipe Gonzalez. Then Lucas Romallo gets one back. It's 5-4. It's exciting. It's a little bit nervous. Texas really gave a lot of effort. This is a team that is fighting for a winning record right now. It looked like they would absolutely have a winning record earlier in the year. Nonetheless, I think they've shown a lot in their second year under Tattoo. Here's the game-winning play, essentially. Escoto gets it loose and then is put home by Christian. We haven't seen Gutierrez score very often this year, just his third goal of the year. Of course, it came in the fourth quarter. That's what Christian does. Nonetheless, huge kind of clinching goal here, and then the Soccers get two empty netters to wrap things up. Here's the first one. Felipe can kind of walk this one into the net. good to still see he had the legs to get down there on it. And then later it's Pino setting up a Escoto right along the wall. Pino picking up 2 late assists. That was fun.
And it's really a testament to the follow through of the game plan for this. Obviously, they knew they were going to run into twos. They knew who was in, and it didn't really matter who was on the other side. We heard rumors that they may fly some players in, the Texas Outlaws would, but here I think it was a great execution of what the plan was. They knew from the beginning the intensity had to be higher than what we saw on Tuesday. And overall, I think it was a great job also being by the coaching staff to set up this team for success, and it paid dividends very, very well there.
So really, yeah, the Sockers coaching staff had a choice going into Thursday. Do we want to lean on a young lineup? They could have filled the lineup with young players. They could have filled the rotation with young players and taken their chances. They said, no, this is a big game. We're going to tighten it. We're going to go the other way. We've got a veteran team. We've got an older team. We're going to ask them to take more minutes. We're going to ask them to take more responsibility, heavier weight on their shoulders, because we need this one. And they got it 8-4. Texas, not that they can't win the Pacific, but they all but can't win the Pacific. Now it's basically over. The Sockers still have 2 matches in hand with a 13-point lead, I believe, over Texas. And now you're getting down to the point. What are we, 14-2? So 8 matches left for San Diego, right? Yeah, 8 matches left for San Diego, 13 points. The advantage, 2 matches in hand. So if it gets up to 46, it'll be over. That'll be it. It'll be done. So the Sockers are very close to clinching the Pacific Division, at least clinching out Texas. Chihuahua's there. If they finish with 5 losses, that's really kind of the mark. The Sockers can lose up to 2 more times this year and have absolute clear sailing to the Pacific. However, 3 would put things in trouble. So, got to go a minimum of 6-2 down the stretch. And you've got 3 left of those against Empire. So, you kind of like the situation. However, let's get to Sunday now, because here's the fun one of the week. And it didn't look this way early, Tony. I'll just tell you, with 10 minutes before kickoff, it looked like it would just be a pretty okay kind of average crowd. And then the Sockers put on a show in the first quarter. This one just unlucky for Empire as Escoto's ball gets deflected in, but then Sockers really start putting on a show, moving the ball around. We see it 1/3 time and doink off of Jurado. That's whatever. But then here's a great play. Childs, Escoto, 2-0, just like that. 4.5 minutes in, the lead would continue to grow even as the crowd continued to filter in. Tony, inside Toyota Arena, the crowd was growing and growing, but so was the lead for San Diego.
Yeah, and this is again that same energy of being lethal and really going and getting ahead of all opportunities in early in the quarter. And I will take your word for it, because you were down there and you can really feel it. Once you're next to the boards, you understand the dynamics of what's in the air. And so for this game to turn out how it did, something more than special had to happen or just opportunities that the strikers took. Because look, Fabian, I like Fabian. I'll give him that. I like what's happening with him individually.
19th goal right there of the season, goal in every match, but the Sockers come right back. Childs nets one. All of a sudden, 3 points for Childs in the first quarter. The folks in the front office who made the trip were asking me before the match, how close is he to 700? I said, well, he's 6 away. Right now, he's 2 away. After this highlight, he's 2 away, because he had 2 goals and 2 assists in the first quarter to get to 698 points for his career. Just a brilliant start to for the Sockers to be up 5-1. And I really thought, oh no, Craig, you aren't going to get your 700th on the road in Empire, are you? Well, spoiler alert, he would not. But Marco Fabian here gets his second. Nice stick with it play as they had been defended the first time. James puts it back in the middle. And this is where things sag a little bit for the Sockers, who I need to now note Tony, were running mostly in twos again, playing their third match in 6 days. And so that 5-1 lead, when it becomes 5-3 in a hurry, it feels a little precarious because you know that normally the strong foundation that the Sockers have for their fitness and their level is going to be tested on this day. Third match in 6 days and a lot of guys banged up.
Yeah, and you get to that situation where you're just obviously hoping that you don't get another injury that's just going to sink that battleship. And I think it's a death by 1,000 paper cuts that we've seen many other teams just succumb to. And this is a situation where whoever is out there, next man up, is going to have to step up and do their best. And that's not always going to be pretty. And look, having Boris Pardo in the goal, that is something that is incredible to be able to rely on in these moments where, yeah, you don't have the players that you might need at the end of the day, but Boris is going to get you covered in net.
You see it right there. Drew Ruggles gets completely wiped out. Might be worth going back and looking at one more time. Ruggles gets cleaned out. There's no foul called on this play. Coming up right here from behind. Claude Dielna, Lafrancois. He takes out Ruggles. Ruggles leaves the match. Ruggles does not return to the match after that play. Sockers fighting their way for 6-3. Really cute moment. There's a kid in the corner there. That's what Craig Childs is pointing at. There's a kid in the corner that kicks at the ball as it goes as it goes right here. Look, see that kid? He kicked at it. He tried to kick it out of the net. And Childs was like, I see you. I see you. I see what you tried to do. It was really I was saying delightful for the second time in the podcast, but it was a very cute moment. Not so cute. Gerardo gets it to 6-4. Now this is 10:20 left in the third. And by this point, Tony, and really by the second quarter, a real crowd had gotten into Toyota Arena. And as you noted, I'm down on the floor and I can feel the energy down on the floor. I'm like, this is real. And so when you start rallying like this, a goal and then a second goal, Alan Perez gets this one, Pardo, third match in 6 days, tough situation. You feel the energy. Boom, Jurado again, 6-6. This was a crowd of 4,200. 4,200 at Toyota Arena. A legit crowd. Believe me, man, I've pinged teams for lying about their crowds and exaggerating and embellishing. This was a real crowd, real energy, and I'm like, they're in real trouble. But guess what? At 6-6, here comes our guest, Juan Salazar. How about it? Big celebration. Let me tell you, the boos were raining down on Juan Salazar from this big crowd as he gets all fired up, and it fires up the team. Here they come. The Cristian Tesserda connection, delivering beautiful Wallace scorer for 8-6. And you do feel pretty strong at this point, all the way until 5 minutes in the fourth. Here's how tired the team is. Riley Uri takes the ball at his own yellow line, dribbles 3 guys, beats Pardo. It's 8-7. I am telling you, man, being down, you can see Pino there. Pino normally can outrun Uri or stay right with Uri. At this point in the game, these guys, because what you didn't see in the highlight was Pee-wee also got knocked out in the second quarter. By mid-third quarter, when Max Rodriguez had taken 3 fouls as the 4th defender for San Diego, they had Mitchell, Serta, and Pino for 2 defensive positions. So they were running, instead of running in twos, they were running 3 for 2. And here you see the end result. 56 seconds left. The guys spread out. Not the energy to get back. A dribbling ball gets through. Perez nets it. It's 8-8. Overtime, it should have been over right here. Childs has the win on his foot. Misses it. By the way, in the fourth quarter, Serta had the win on his foot. Didn't take a touch. Great play there by Orozco to come out on Felipe. Overtime, Sockers played pretty darn well in overtime, despite being so tired. Orozco forced to make a couple of saves, and we get to the shootout. 3-round shootout. Childs goes first. Bing bong. I mean, he makes it every time. It's crazy.
Absolutely lethal. The shootouts, you can definitely tell the heavy legs, because the players, for the most part, they can try to dribble around, and if that's their style, that's one thing we see Escoto trying here and almost chipping it over the goalkeeper Orozco. But uh, when that you get that immediate shot, the legs are just tired, and you don't want to have a maneuver, an extra burst of energy there. Marco Fabian having words with Boris, good to see there. But that's just an example of what these players are going through this whole game. After overtime, your legs are done.
Here it is, up 1-0, bottom of the third. Pardo coming out. He was aggressive. He came out on Fabian, shut down the angle. He came out on James, shut down the angle. We talked to him right after the match, Tony. He does his research. No one watches on the Soccer's more film than Boris Pardo. He watches more film than any coach on this team. He knows these guys. He knows their tendencies. He knows what to read. He knows how to read it. And it wasn't Boris's greatest match. He made some big saves in the fourth quarter. He had 12 out of 20 for the game. He doesn't have the kind of numbers that'll get him goalkeeper of the year this year. That run is going to end of 2 in a row. But the reason you have a veteran and the reason you have a guy in there playing his third match in 6 days is you get to that shootout situation and you have a level of experience, confidence, preparedness that is unparalleled in the league. And there's just no one you'd rather have in the entire league in a situation like that than Boris Pardo.
Yeah, and again, it's that experience, and shootouts is a lot have to do with being able to be patient. Yeah, that's only 5 seconds, but those 5 seconds, either it's a standstill or they go incredibly fast and the ball's behind you before you know it. And the style that Boris has is that he tries to get out, make himself as big as possible, close those angles. So the option for a shot is going to be either instantaneous. The opponent's either going to shoot quickly and it's going to bounce off his big frame, or he's out there to his line, because then that's going to give you the only option to either try to dribble left or right. And then you might run out of time, and he's quick enough to be able to close that angle on the side. So shootouts is one of my favorite things in indoor soccer, and the execution and style of Boris Pardo cannot be understated there.
Bottom line for me, 3 matches, triple match recap here on Soccer's Overtime. My pride and joy in the team, my satisfaction, as Tony just disappears. My satisfaction in the Soccer's performance just grew and grew and grew as the week went on. I thought Tuesday was, a somewhat disappointing match for San Diego. I thought Thursday the team was shorthanded and in some weird ways kind of up against the wall in that match, and they came through with a really representative effort despite the circumstances. And then Sunday, I mean, buddy, being down there on the floor, it does change your perspective. And we talk about it, how, when we're up there in the top row of the terrace, there's things you can say that once you get down there, it just feels ridiculous. And I could see the fatigue on the Soccer's players in the fourth quarter of that match in Ontario. I mean, beyond everything else, Craig was limping. Gutierrez took a knock where he really was struggling to run in the fourth quarter in overtime, like struggling to run. He took a bad knock. I think on most nights, he wouldn't have even been out there in the fourth quarter, and he was out there because he had to be. Pino, at one point in overtime, Tony, went down right in front of me. He went down hard. And Pino is not a guy who just lays down. And the ref and then an opposing player and another player was like waving Kara Wickerod, who was filling in for Paul that night at trainer, like waving her on the field. And then the other players were like, no, stay off, Kara, stay off, because if she came on, that meant Pino had to go out and had to wait until the next dead ball to come back on. And like the Soccers literally couldn't afford it. And so they wound up leaving him out there like writhing until the throbbing went down enough for him to put weight on his foot again. And then he just kept playing. It was crazy. Pee-wee and Ruggles leaving in the middle of the game, already without 4 of your top 6 players, your top 2 scorers, your top 2 playmakers along the way. And then another group of like 4 guys that got banged up along the game. Max Rodriguez gets 3 fouls. They bench him. Like the list was shortening and shortening and shortening. And by the end, I'm like, are there 8 guys playing for our team right now? At the end, out of 16, do we have like 9? Maybe it was crazy. So I am telling you, so many teams would have lost that match. So many teams would have lost on Tuesday and lost on Sunday. Like, absolutely. The team we're going to play and talk about later that's coming in on Sunday, Kansas City, they would have probably lost all 3 of these matches.
Yeah.
This week. They would have probably lost all 3 of these matches. And the Sockers won all 3. They took 8 out of 9 points. So, you know, if anyone was out there Tuesday going, Craig's down on the Sockers, or Craig is too negative, or Craig and Tony are talking trash about this team, like, I am telling you, man, up, 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 up. It is how this week went. I guess with the reverse up, 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 up there. There you go. So it looks right on the screen. Just going up. That I really thought that this club on Sunday showed me the kind of mettle that you have to win a title.
Yeah, and it's stepping up, right? That next band up mentality, and whoever is there is just going to have to be a warrior, right? Like Guerrero Pino, literally, it's in his name. He's a warrior, and that's one of the instances of this team really persevering, pushing past any and all adversity. And at the end of the day, it's a gutsy performance, not just in Ontario, but just overall, with all the travel, with all the situations that they've dealt with so far. Again, it's a testament to how well this team is built to the core. And a lot of it has to do with our guests coming up here. That, you know, it's fantastic.
All right. We're going to bring on Juan Salazar here momentarily. I just do want to say one last thing. Just big shout out to the Empire franchise. Got a chance to talk with Gunner, Burnt afterwards a little bit. You know, always see my boys, Doc and Philly. There's Doc in the chat right now, but they're really doing things well in Empire right now. You know, they took a chance on Fabian. You know, we took a chance on Donovan, slightly different, but similar style move. It's paying off. They've been really marketing Marco pretty well. From what I heard up there, Fabian, once he got on ESPN, he was on the big podcast, right?
With Herc Gomez.
Yes, thank you, with Hercules Gomez.
Football Americas,
yeah. And since then, they've had 2 crowds of close to 8,000 cum getting into the arena. So, you know, they're doing a great job up there. They're really doing the best job that they can. Obviously, you know, 3-13. It's not their year this year, but brighter days ahead for the Strikers franchise. Saludos to a team that's doing things the right way. Okay, let's bring on our special guest. He is a rookie. Someone completely off our radar. Just a few short weeks ago. Now he is an integral part of this club. He is the pride of Columbia. He is the pride of Point Loma Nazarene University. Juan Salazar is making his Soccer's Overtime debut right now.
How are you?
Juan, Craig and Tony here with you. Thanks so much, brother.
Hey, Tony, ¿cómo estás? Craig, how are you?
Bien, aquí nomás tú. Desde el primer día estamos hablando ya el español. Es lo que me gusta, que hablamos. Hey, ¿qué onda? ¿Cómo estás? Craig también habla español. Craig also speaks Spanish very well.
I speak English too, so we can do both, whatever you guys want. But thank you for having me, and thank you for the invitation. I'm really pleased and honored to be here with you guys today.
Oh, the pleasure is absolutely ours, Juan. Well, let's start things off real basic. Team question up top. 3 games, 3 wins, 6 days, a lot of miles on those legs over the course of those 3 matches. How much of a feeling of relief, of gratitude to come away with 8 out of 9 points?
No, I mean, for us, that was our goal coming into the week. One thing they told me here when I got here is that the Sockers don't lose. So here, expectation is to win every game. So for us, our preparation was all about winning the 3 games. And as soon as the whistle blew and Pardo just he saved the last shout out PK, I was so happy and relieved that we accomplished that, because that was something that we wanted to do. So that was a great relief, and proud of the team that we pulled that through, regardless of everything we are going through with injuries and stuff that you guys mentioned before.
Yeah, and it took a lot by everybody. It's a team effort, and Your contribution here on Sunday, el gol, la celebración, that celebration up in Ontario. Could you just take us through that moment and what you were going through with, a couple of hand gestures? You were talking to yourself, you're talking to everybody, little bit of this, little bit of this, just take us through that moment.
Yeah, it was just like you said. It was just first of all, it's an emotional game for me. Every day, I'm proving myself to the team and the coaches because I want to be part of this organization and I want to be part of the team. And I want to help the team as much as I can. And then the game just took a different route, and we were winning 6-3, and then we end up tie game 6-6. And then I shoot the ball with my right foot, and it goes in. And then I was like, just trying to push my team, bring it up, because I know that we can win this game, just to bring some energy. And then I started to hear, like you said, everybody's boo, boo, boo. And then I was like, get out of here. Pretty much that's what I said. So I was pretty happy to help the team and put a little bit of a little seed to help win the game. But it was a great effort by the whole team.
We're going to get into your youth and getting here to America and getting to college, and then of course to the pros. But here you are, you're in the MASL, you're with the San Diego Sockers, the flagship franchise in the history of indoor soccer. 17 championships, 6 modern championships, 2 in the last 3 years. I could go on in terms of the win and loss record, everything else for this club. It's a team of veterans, Juan. You know this. It's a team of players with years of experience playing indoor, years of experience playing together. You're a young pup. None of them knew your name like a month ago before you played in a futsal exhibition. So what has this journey been for you? What has it been like to mix into a team like this and try and find your footing?
I mean, everything has been a new experience for me. I never played indoor before. Of course, I played indoor with friends, but never at this level, never with this pressure and then this responsibility. And when I got here, I was able to see the quality of the team right away. The first game I watched, it was December 30th against the Tacoma Stars. I was in the stands watching that game, and I had like 2 days of practice. I was like, wow, like these guys are so good. Every single one is like, I was like, I don't even know if I can do this, if I'm honest with you, at this level. But I stayed positive, and then I think that's because I'm doing good. Is because I am around so many great players, and I gotta give credit to my teammates because they've been super friendly with me, and they actually been taking care of me and helping me understand the game and situations of the game and how everything works out. So having being close with Craig and Churras, Brandon, Charlie, Costa, Taboy, all those guys with so much experience that they just bring me that experience every day, and then I can learn about the game. But it's great. I mean, I'm playing with one of some of the best players in the league every day, so that's a blessing for me.
Yeah, and in talking about this, bringing new stuff into the fray, you also brought something new, I imagine, from PLNU, your style of soccer into the transition into the indoor game. What has that transition been like into the pro indoor soccer fray? You're mentioning that you played with friends. Did you play at the Peninsula YMCA? Pretty, beat up field out there. It's one of those things that indoor soccer players around the town know that that's one of the places that has open gates, and you can maybe hop a gate or two, get some reps in.
No, I used to I played on this because I live in San Marcos, so I just play Monday League in Escondido. I used to play, but that was it. But the transition it's been challenging for me because I've always been playing outdoor and I've always been a winger. So my position is out wide in the field with a lot of 1v1 attacking opportunities, speed, crossing, shooting from outside. So here I've had to kind of change my game a little bit and transition into playing in the midfield, or like this week I was told by the coach to play up top. So it's different things that I haven't been used to, but my willingness to learn and to just help the team helps me at least get through the games and score goal here and there and help the team win. So, but it's been a challenging transition for me. But every day I feel like I'm getting better, and I'm feel that I'm getting more into the indoor world. So I'm getting more into the game. So I'm excited for that. I can hear you. Sorry.
Do you believe Craig is a
Oh,
little muted? There
Thank
you
you.
go.
Every
Thank
once in a while, I mute myself just because I like to mess up the show. It's just a little goblin move. No. What I was just saying is that there's a journey of many steps to become a great indoor player. There are so many things to learn and to incorporate into your playing style and also into your metabolism, which leads me to my next question. Playing outdoor, obviously there's a much bigger pitch. There's much farther to run, but there's also many moments where you might be walking on
Yes.
the field. Whereas in indoor, you got to go out there and you got to burn, baby, burn,
Yep.
and then you got to burn out of there, and then you got to come back. What have you found in terms of the fatigue factor, the difference between outdoor and indoor?
I'm gonna be really honest with you guys. My legs have never been so shocked, but after playing indoor at this level, I've never felt this type of tiredness ever. And I've played in really high level games, but I've never felt that my legs are actually gonna give out in the middle of the game. It actually happened to me on Thursday when I was caught up in a defensive play, and then I had to defend for like a minute and a half. And then that's why I think about people like Christian, like Gutierrez, because he's always running and defending in the offensive line. So he's always doing that hard work. And it's like it's so hard, it's so challenging. And as soon as I realized I've been working on my fitness little by little, different now, because now I have to understand that is a minute, but it's 100% all you can do, and then go and rest, and then go again. While, like you said, in outdoor, you do a sprint, but then while the ball's on the other side, you have some time to rest and to jog and maybe walk. But here, there's no time for anything. You have to go 100%, and not just physically, but mentally. So focus every single time because you have to follow your guy, you have to know the pass, you have to know the movement. Everything is so fast. It's great. I'm enjoying it. It's fun. It's really fun to play too. When I started getting it, at first I was a little frustrated because I didn't understand anything what was going on in practices, and but then I'm getting it little by little, and I'm enjoying it way more.
No, I feel you there in the fitness factor. I played my first indoor match in a year and my quads are on fire. I can barely walk. So in a same but different, Juan. Pero I mean, this whole game, in a sense, is different from the outdoor game. You were saying, you know, you're a winger, you're a striker at times up front, right? But the defending, somebody else has to take care of that. What's it been like now having to be a defender? You're essentially eres el primer defensa. You're the first defender whenever possession is lost or it starts going the other way. What's that been like now, transitioning and defending con paredes, con walls, and all these different elements?
Yeah, I mean the walls is something that I've been getting used to. Of course, like everybody knows, there's not walls in outdoor, so you have to kind of be aware of the pass and also the wall and stuff like that. Like I said, even outdoor, I wasn't a good defender. I was the type of winger that I would like just kind of shade defend and kind of look that I'm doing my job defensively, just because I knew that I was my attacking abilities was gonna kind of make for that defensive part. But here, nah, here is not. That's not the case. You have to commit. You have to defend 100%, and really, it's also not just all the running, but also know when to run, how to follow your guy, and the communication. So it's been challenging, but like you said, little by little, day by day, I'm getting better, and I'm grateful for the opportunities I'm getting as a rookie, as a first year, and grateful with the coaching staff for giving me the chances to be playing in these games, and like I said, helping the team to keep winning these games and win the championship, which is the main goal that everybody has.
Well, you know, I think a point of pride for the organization, Juan, is that you are a graduate of the college draft. This is something that is new in MASL. It's an opportunity for college players like yourself. And of course, you helped lead Point Loma to the first men's conference title this past season. You were all Pac West. You had a great year coming from Cal State San Marcos and transferring over to Point Loma Nazarene. What was your time like out on the peninsula?
Nah, Point Loma was the best thing that could have happened to me. When I joined Point Loma, I was one of the lowest moments of my life because I didn't have a team I played for 3 years at Cal State San Marcos, but I decided to transfer just because personal things and stuff. But I when Phil and Brett called me, the head coach and the assistant coach for Point Loma, I was with no team. I was playing UPSL. I was feeling really down. I was like, I don't know if this is gonna end up happening. and they gave me the opportunity. So I joined in the spring of 2023, and then I played the whole year with them. But Point Loma is the most beautiful campus I ever seen. We have our field right by the beach, so our view is the ocean. So we will train on the fall. We'll do like 4:30 training. So we will like end up training in the sunset. So this is like the movies stuff. Like this is beautiful. And then my teammates were great. I got along with everybody really well, and the trainings and Point Loma just prepared me for what I am today, and soccer wise made me a professional, and hope now I am one. So thanks to them, I'm here for sure.
Kind of want to go off script just a little bit. As far as like your friends, your pals growing up, like who don't really see, you know, football rapido, football futsal. It's not really that brand. How do you explain this type of soccer to them? Is that something that's intriguing them? People are like, oh, okay, I might want to give this a try. Bring
Yeah.
some more Colombian talent. What's that? What are those conversations like?
Yeah, in Colombia we have a lot of futsal though, futsal and like micro football. So it's like a street like street type of game, but futsal. But we don't have anything like indoor. You see, like Mexico has the two professional teams, Monterrey and Chihuahua. Like we don't have any professional indoor, but in Colombia. So how I explain that to my friend is like retas, but really high level.
Yep.
It's like because we play 6v6 a lot over there, but just for fun, you know. It's like no rules. There's no three lines. There's not like you have to follow your guide. You just do whatever you want to do and play just because you want to stay in shape or you want to train. So I just explain to them it's like playing with your friends, but at an extremely high level, a professional level, where you have people watching you and you expect to do your best every day. So that's kind of how I explain to them. But they be watching the games and they see like it's fun, it's fast. You have to be super technical, decision making fast. It's really hard. It's definitely really hard.
Well, I love it, and the crowd in the chat is loving your honest answers as well, Juan. You've been a big hit on the show here so far. Last thing I'll leave you with, what have you been most impressed by so far? It could be an opponent's move, it could be anything, but just being in the MASL so far as a young pro, what's been the most impressive to you?
No, I think it's just the way the players use the bottom of the foot to get away from situations and escapes. It's I'm something I've never seen like that. Like in outdoor, where you're not used to use the bottom of your foot too much because you don't want to stop the ball. You just want to take your first search directional into a space. That way you can beat a defender. Right here, it's like holding the ball and using the bottom of your foot to kind of move the ball one side or turn or like fake this side and go to the other side. And I see a lot of players do it. Like in my team, Charlie does it a lot. Churras do it a lot. Costa, they're so good doing that. And I'm every day trying to implement, like do that in training and stuff. It's hard. It's hard for me. But that's one of the things, the way they use the bottom of the foot, I want to get to that level. So I can use the bottom of my foot that way so I can create chances to score and to pass. That's one of the things I'd be like, wow, I wanna get to that level for sure.
Oh my God, I love this so much. I mean, yeah, just hang out with Leo and Charlie. Just Charlie, autopase, show me everything that you do. Show me every one of these moves. You will be putting up 40 goals in a heartbeat, Juan. Listen, incredible debut here on Soccer's Overtime. I'll be on the mic on the PA at Snapdragon on Wednesday as Colombia takes on Panama in the CONCACAF W Gold Cup. Tomorrow. So I don't know if you're going to go cheer on your female countrymen tomorrow afternoon, but I'll be out there at the Snap. But I can't wait to see you on the floor on Sunday. Best of luck. Mucho gusto for all of our fans here. And thank you so much for your time.
No, it's my pleasure, guys, and thank you for having me. And I look forward to keep doing my best in the training ground and in the field to help this team win and get to guys know you little by little more and the organization overall and all the fans. I do want to say one thing before you go. I just want to say thank you to the fans and everybody watching because they've been super welcoming with me and super nice in the games and even on my debut. And I mean, it was my first time signing autographs and being with the kids. So that was great for me. So I just want to say thank you for all the fans and I look forward to seeing you more. Thank you.
I love it. Straight from the heart, Juan. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your night.
You too. Thank you, guys.
Gracias.
Oh, wow. Great stuff, man. Juan Salazar.
Wow. I think these two back-to-back stellar interviews. Not to hate on anybody else that's been on this season so far or any before, but I've really just it's touched my soccer pure heartness in many ways. And what interesting just insight, right? Like the bottom of the foot, it just makes sense. Like there's no cleats. You are more tactile
Right.
with it. Like it just makes so much sense. And wow, just a great insight there. Juan, gracias, vato.
Incredible stuff. Great stuff all the way around. Yeah, yeah. You think about the inside of the foot, you think about the top, right? You think about the topo, you think about that outside, but guess what? The ball of your foot can wind up being the thing that controls the ball, the absolute most in indoor. Brilliant, brilliant. 10 out of 10, no notes. Great appearance by Juan Salazar. Let's get through the rest of the show. We did start an hour late today. Let's get to MASL news. Did everyone stay up late? We got some 10 o'clockers listening out in Baltimore. We got some 9 o'clockers in KC. I'm not sure, but either way, Commissioner's Office, saludos from all of us. It's always great to have you back on the show. Poof, almost. Chihuahua almost lost to someone other than Monterrey. Kansas City coming close. 2-2 all the way till overtime, and then in less than 30 seconds, the Savage win. And yet another example, Tony, of one of these two Mexican sides. So far, they are undefeated. Norte de la Frontera. Chihuahua wins it 3-2, and Kansas City has pushed both Monterrey and Chihuahua to overtime on their blue floor at Cable Dama Arena, and they have come away with only 1 point each time. Oh, so impressive, Giannoni and the Savage.
Yeah, and this is the team that from the Savage, from Comets, that it really looks to be the team that can take it to anybody in this league, and so they can seemingly turn it on. But what Savage has done, and Giannoni Martinez, el jefe de jefes, is nothing short of incredibly impressive. That record is still standing still, and there's a reason why they took it to San Diego so hard. This is a good team. They have the components, they have the structure, they have a great way of playing, a great mentality, and honestly, they're going to be a challenge down the line, and that's going to be the team that you're going to have to watch the most film on.
So for Chihuahua, we know. I mean, I'm not here to just keep giving them roses every single week. They're not unbeatable. The Sockers can beat Chihuahua. The Sockers can beat Monterrey. The Sockers can beat anybody. There's no perfect team in this league, but the Savage are playing so very well. They look composed. They are taking care of their situations. They are handling their business, and I'm very impressed with the Chihuahua Savage. Don't worry in the chat. Injury updates coming up. We're getting close to soccer's news. But on the Kansas City side, Comets coming to town. Comets coming west to play us and to play Empire, coming out to the Golden State. Pretty interesting. I don't know if you saw this, Tony, but, John Sosa is a kid that I've followed. He's not a kid. He's a parent. He's an adult. He is a guy that I have followed on Facebook since we were teammates in that I was announcing the U.S. World Cup team in the WMF World Cup in 2015 when we were going around the country in the United States. And ever since then, he went to the Sockers, I think, a year later. So, we followed each other on Facebook. I follow his family. And over the weekend, John Sosa, who is still second in the MASL in assists this year, put up a Facebook post saying, my time with the Comets is done. Thank you to the organization, et cetera, so on and so forth. But that he is no longer an indoor player for the Kansas City Comets. I did reach out to a source with Kansas City today to confirm that. And they said that, you will continue to see John Sosa on the roster for the Comets, but you will not see him on the floor for the Comets probably the rest of the year. Another player who is, I don't know if he's in the same situation, but he is on the roster and not playing and not hurt, is Leo Gibson, who used to be the head coach and is one of the 400-point club and is the all-time Comets leading scorer and is kind of Mr. Comet. And Gibson is not playing. In that match against Chihuahua, Zach Reggett, who is playing, hit a goal for 2-2 and his celebration was to pull his shin guards out of his legs and put him up to the crowd. And one of them had 14 written on it, which is Leo Gibson's number, and the other had 19 written on it, which is John Sosa's number. So something's going on there. We are not privy to the drama that is happening in Kansas City, but the fact that KC has gone from 7-1 to 8-10, and I'm counting the 4 overtime losses. I'm just counting wins and losses here. They're 8-6-4. They're 8-10. They've lost 9 out of 10 games. This corresponds with Gibson and Sosa, the two veterans who know the most on that team, no longer playing for the club. So mysteries abound in the MASL, but to me, I think there's a pretty direct correlation between Sosa and Gibson not being on the floor and Kansas City going from a team that wins close games to a team that loses every close game they play.
Yeah, and we did hear just that there might be some sort of happenings that the players are privy to that we are not, that just kind of puts the Comets in a headspace that isn't conducive to playing well. And that's ultimately what this league and everything that we cover is about, is that if it's affecting the wins and losses, affecting the games, it has to be, I hope, reported. And that's not always the case. And whatever is happening over there is clearly now seeped into a point where it's affected not just the play on the field, but just across the board. And yeah, no, soccer players writing numbers and dedicating goals is definitely a happening of some sort. So we'll see how that develops as it keeps going.
I'm just seeing something in the chat. I didn't have it in the menu, but I think it does bear mentioning. Empire, the Sockers lost or beat Empire. Empire lost to the Sockers. Stefan Mijatovic didn't play for Empire on Sunday. He was also not hurt. I don't have anything I can report on Soccer's overtime on this, but I did hear secondhand that it was not an injury situation for Stefan Mijatovic, and it's not a discipline situation either for Stefan Mijatovic. So whether it is a dispute, okay, they said on the broadcast he's no longer a member of the team. Well, there you go. There you go. So something happened, and there was a parting of the ways with the second best player on Empire, other than Barber, or other than Fabian. Barber just came. There's Barber. You see that name? Sorry, sometimes something pops and I just say it. Other than Fabian, maybe the second best player on the team, Mijatovic. So, it's a drag situation, but these things happen in sports all the time. And when the money isn't at the level of the big leagues, the idea of walking away becomes a lot more realistic.
Yeah, and again, it's part of this growth of the league itself, where it'd be really nice to really have that sort of attention and coverage and warranted, and have people on the beat to make sure that these things don't go unnoticed. But that's the nature of where the MASL is right now, and hopefully it grows into that position as it keeps going, to have these stories out there, not just the same story twice on the MASL page.
And yes, I apologize. I was not privy to the broadcast because I was at the match Sunday in Ontario. So I did not get the chance to go back through the whole match and watch it through. So I did not hear that Philly and the Doc addressed it, but shout out to them. Kudos to them for doing so. So yeah, weird stuff happening along the way for some star players. Meanwhile, guess who's taking advantage? Baltimore. The team that started the year out with weird stuff, with Vanzella and weird comments from lawyers and Max Ferdinand and Roque all being pushed off of the team, and then starting off so terribly and losing to everybody along the way. And now, see, I knew you were lurking, Brad. I knew you were lurking, or Gio, whoever's in the goals and boards. Oh, it's Brad. Okay, yeah. I said I would wear a Blast jersey on the show if they made the playoffs this year. And I'm here to tell you they're probably going to make it.
You never said you were going to buy it,
Craig. I just want to say to all of the folks in Baltimore, you're welcome. The broadcaster curse can also be a broadcaster spell. I'm an outstanding wizard, and I might have spell cast you right back into the playoffs for the 10th time in 10 years in the MASL. 13-6 blast over Utica. Ricardo Dieguez, ex of Florida, gets 5 goals early. And goalkeeper Mike Zierhofer throws in a hat trick in the 4th quarter.
The most insane stat.
It's ridiculous. Stop playing on a basketball court, Baltimore. Give me a break. It's not even a hard throw.
Yeah, it just rolls in, and you know, I'm enjoying the celebrations for Zierhofer too, and it's a part of the game that is available. As a goalkeeper, I would have loved to, you know, play throwing distance from a goal, but you know, it's a element that exists. You know, the other goalkeeper can also do the same, but you know, it's just different situations are situational. I think I've said that before.
The situations are situational. This situation was hilarious. I mean, I've seen Vinzella throw in enough goals. I've seen Boris throw in a goal in Sonora before. I mean, you can do it, but throwing in a hat trick, like at some point, Utica, just put a keeper back in. Do us a favor. That's pretty incredible. I mean, yes, absolutely. A hockey goalie scoring is 100 times X on an indoor keeper throwing in a hat trick, because it's just, that's all that means is you played in Baltimore. All that really means is you played a match in Baltimore, because every match in Baltimore offers the keeper the opportunity, at least, to throw in a goal. And then if you're goofy and you just keep rolling 6th attacker down 10, 11, and 12-6, yeah, you can throw in a hat trick for that matter. I mean, just ridiculous. But listen, I voted for Zierhofer for keeper of the week, and I voted for Dieguez for player of the week as well, because I mean, those are great performances. 5 goals for Dieguez. Listen, they've collected Pereiras, they've collected Dieguez, they've collected maybe enough Tropics to push them over the top.
Yeah, and look, we were talking about early in the season and looking at some videos, and maybe that stuff worked. The hype was real, and it was just a concoction for success, and it's leading in a positive direction. Obviously, some other teams need to do some losing, and putting up 13 to a Utica team that has, you know, has some talent isn't easy. But I think what's going on in Baltimore is just one of those situations where they never want to really miss playoffs, and that just they're getting it done somehow. And it might be a one of those streaks that just happens. The Undertaker went 21-0 for WrestleManias. Maybe, you know, we can have the same thing here for Baltimore Blasts, never missing a playoff.
Hey, I mean, I just have to accept the realistic possibility that this is going to happen. I'm looking at the Blast schedule right now. Milwaukee is coming to the baby field. They do go to Utica. They could lose 3 in a row at the beginning of March. They go to Utica, Chihuahua, and Monterey. They'll certainly lose the 2 games south of the border. They could lose at Utica. That could be 3 straight losses. But they've got 2 Heat games, 3 Heat games on the schedule the rest of the year. They go to Texas. That could be tough depending on what level of team the Outlaws have. They host Dallas. That's an auto dub. They're probably winning all 4 of their home matches the rest of the way. So if they win all 4 of their home matches, if they lose the 4 tough road matches but beat the Heat twice, well, okay, that's 6 wins. That's 18 points. That would put Baltimore 18 more points at 39. And I think we talked about that. That means that Kansas City has to find 4 wins out of the last 6 matches in their schedule to make the playoffs. Well, I'm here to tell you that they play the Sockers twice in their last 6. So unless they're going to beat the Sockers, they're going to have to sweep their other 4 matches to make the playoffs. Those other 4 matches are at Empire, host St. Louis, host Utica, at St. Louis. They can do it. They can sweep those 4 games.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
I'm telling you there's a chance. And if they beat us on March 23rd, goals and boards for the first time in the history of the podcast. Make sure this goes up on the screen, Tony, saying "Go Sockers." Save that. Save that clip. Save that clip for all time. I just want that in the future. I want that for future reference. That's
Here,
beautiful right there,
let's
Brad.
point at it down there just so we can and just
Uh,
take a screenshot. Boom.
Go Sockers. There it is. There it is. So that's a ton of fun. Okay, hey, it's real. It's real. Baltimore wins one of their tough road matches. They are almost a shoo-in to make the playoffs. If they only do the minimum, beat Harrisburg twice on the road and win their 4 remaining home games, it means Kansas City has to get at least 4 wins out of the last 6 regulation wins. At that matter, they need all the points. So it's going to get dicey, and this is the race in the East. I don't think there's any other race other than if you're excited about 2 versus 3, who has home field in the first round of the junior matchup. That's it. The West is decided, obviously. It's just a matter, and it's going to sort this way. Chihuahua is going to finish second. So it's just a matter of whether Texas or Tacoma finishes 3rd or 4th. But this is the race. One of these 2 teams isn't going to make it, Baltimore and Kansas City, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see how it shakes out down the road.
Yeah, I would hate to, say I don't want to see it happen just for the chaos of it, just because it does make it a little bit of fun. And you might get a free jersey out of it, Craig.
They're going to send me a Venmo request. You know that. Okay, I'm going to see it. We're going to get my Stan Stamenkovich jersey. And I'll be like legitimately okay about it. And then I'm going to get a Venmo request for $175 from Ed Hale.
Love that.
Can't let the week escape without tweaking the nose of the Stars. Sorry, Taco Masters, you lost to Dallas.
Just a belly, a young king laugh. Just
a grim night for the MASL is what they said in Tacoma when the ball went in for Blas Perez. A grim night.
Oh man.
Where was Costa on the play? Was he onside?
Somebody check on Costa.
We have video.
The angles have been sent.
We're never going to show you the video, but we have it. So sorry, Taco Masters. Playing without Chris Toth, playing with an injured Nick Pereira. It's fine.
It's tough. Yeah, 100%.
It's fine. Tough night. Tough night for the Taco Masters. It's okay. It was a grim night, though. It was a grim night for Tacoma, to be sure.
Just
a grim night.
Dark cloud.
This week, is Monterey ever going to lose? Probably not. Probably never. But, I kind of feel like they've got a half chance to lose this weekend, because it's one thing to just truck over the line to Texas or to go up, but they've got a Northeast trip this week. They're going to be cold. They're going to have to play 2 games in a weekend. It starts at Harrisburg. I mean, honestly, Monterey should kill Harrisburg, obviously. But then the Sunday game, it's the afternoon kicker against Utica, that 12 o'clock West Coast start. I put that on the list of maybe, right? Like probably not, probably never. But here's a 5-match road trip for the Flash. And, if they could just find a way to kick 2 games, then all of a sudden the Shield would be in play. I don't think it's going to happen. I doubt it'll happen. But if there was a spot, I would say Sunday at Utica would be a spot. You could look at that game and you could look at the Savage match and go, well, it's not impossible for them to drop those matches.
Yeah, and on the converse there, if they go through and win every single one of these matches, get every single one of those points, I mean, you just have to, take your hat off, because that's a performance and that just seals it, right? Like We've been talking about the travel that the Sockers have done. We've been talking about how grueling these matches have been. Finishing off away at Chihuahua, it's going to be a real test of this team. And look, if they do go in and just absolutely keep destroying, keep taking care of business like they have, all props to them. And that's going to be all she wrote. But there is that chance. I do like also just the agent of chaos, Callum. Just watch them lose to Dallas. Just watch
Sure.
them lose.
Sure, Cal. I'm not even gonna. I was about to make another bet. I'm not even gonna bother.
I'll
I'm
do
not
it.
even gonna bother.
I will
Yeah.
buy a Sidekicks jersey. I will go. I'll be in Houston at some point. They're close, right? From what I've been
Close
told by
enough.
the chat.
Yeah, I'm sure the team store has it. That's beautiful. I think I've still got someone the last time, or in 2019 when I went to Dallas, someone gave me a Sidekick scarf. I think I have a Sidekick scarf somewhere in the house. So if they beat Monterey, I will proudly display the Sidekick scarf up here on the subsequent Soccer's Overtime broadcast. I can promise you that. That wraps up MASL news. Kansas City comes west. We talk about that. All right, Soccer's news. Here's our injury roundup. Here's where we are as of now. As of the best information I have as of Tuesday, February 20th. Best news. Leonardo de Oliveira warmed up Sunday at Toyota Arena. I actually thought he was going to play. They did the safe thing. They held him out. I'd say he's probably 80%, barring a setback of some sort over the next 5 days. I'd say he's 80% or more to play Sunday against Kansas City and to be back in the lineup. It's just been, a rough thing. He missed those 5 matches with the knee. He came back. We've had this really heavy minutes load, workload. And after that Tuesday match where Leo had to run in twos, where 2 of his teammates on the offense and the attack side were out in the second quarter, it was just a little bit too much for him too fast.
Yeah, it's that load management with Leo, where we saw him even at that away match in Chihuahua, where sometimes you got to dig to see who's even going to play in those matches. He was playing hurt; he wasn't playing 100% anywhere near, but it was a match where the Sockers felt like him being in there would give them a better chance to do that, and so I think that was an opportunity for some rest if they didn't have a chance to really take it to Chihuahua. But we saw what he was able to do, not at his best health-wise, and he got himself 2 goals. So if this is going to be a healthier Leo coming back, that's nothing but positive news, just kind of bringing that calmness on the ball, that bottom of the footness that Juan Salazar was talking about. Like, that's the personification of that type of play is with Leo and Trochurras in there, and hopefully more good news. Anything else good news-wise?
Well, when I saw the boys up in Ontario on Sunday, I asked our injured players, their situation and in their words when they thought they'd be back. And Charlie Gonzalez said to me he thought he would play this Sunday against Kansas City. Now, Leo thought he would play last Sunday in Ontario. So would I be surprised if the Sockers kind of took the same path, had him a week behind Leo, had him go through warm-ups on Sunday and then not play? That could happen. It all depends on how things shake out over the next 4 or 5 days. But Charlie is probably 50-50 to be in the lineup. And by the way, I saw Gabe in the chat too. When I was saying Leo's 80-85%, I don't mean his overall health. I meant his chance to be in the lineup. So I think that's his opportunity to play is 80-85%. If Charlie isn't 100%, he should sit, because April matters a lot more than late February, especially the way things are shaking out right now, where it looks like Monterey will win the Shield. So I agree with the sentiment. Let the players get healthy. Tavoy told me it would be at least another week, that he's targeting the start of March. So, that March 3rd Chihuahua game, I think all these players, Leo, Charlie, Tavoy, they want to be ready for that match. They want to be ready for that Chihuahua match on March 3rd. Anything that happens between here and there is a bonus. They play the Comets, who are in free fall, and they play Empire. So, I feel like this club can win even without our top players against those clubs. But I think you're going to see at least one of them back this week, if not 2, and I think you could even see 2 or 3 back by the Empire game. But it's really the Chihuahua match, Tony, that I think these guys are truly targeting.
Yeah, and that's one that they want back because that's something that is going to really put the confidence into the momentum into the team, where they know there's no team in the West that can even close. Yes, they're first place, but you still have that semi-black eye because you didn't beat Chihuahua and haven't beat them yet. So that's going to definitely be a circle on the calendar. And at this point of the season, it's just health is wealth. That is the most the most potent currency that the Sockers need to have in mind. And I think they're being incredibly smart with load managing and just taking it slow. And if need be, breaking case of emergency. But as for right now, with the situations, I think playing the long game is a smart play here and peaking at the right time, because again, you still need that chemistry to be there. You can't just throw them right out of the gate. You need to make sure that the situations are right for everybody. And I think that if we do see either Leo or Charlie back, that's going to be a huge push, at least for everybody that's been contributing so far.
And guys, depth guys like Sean Callahan, who got injured, with a ACL earlier this year. Those are the guys you really miss in these situations, because you'd be like, okay, Charlie's out, but we got Sean. We're fine. We're settled. The difference is there's no Sockers 2 this year. So when you look at the young kids like Quentin Ivey or Ed Willette, even Juan Salazar, for that matter, Max Rodriguez, these are young guys that would be able to play, practice, game in and game out, week in and week out for Sockers 2, and then get the call up when need be. And instead, it's a tough call for Phil Salvaggio and Cheeky Luna to say, well, you know what, we're just going to flood the lineup with all of these rookies, Julian Garcia, etc. We're going to just put all of these rookies in the lineup and let them play. Kansas City's putting a lot of rookies in their lineup. They've lost 9 out of 10 matches. Their whole season has been tanked. The Sockers way has been like, nope, we're not going to play the rookies. We're going to play the veterans even harder, and we're going to play them longer, and we're going to play them more. So it's a sticky wicket. If you had that M2, if you had that second team, I feel like you'd have a lot more reliability bringing these kids up. But the Sockers have been in a period with very few practices, and it's difficult to just go, hey, all right, 5 rookies go into the lineup. We're going to survive this, because those could be the mistakes that cost you the match.
And overall, just the pathway towards being a soccer isn't easy, right? Like, it has to be the right fit to make that team. And obviously, if the players are there with the talent that they have right now, there's no way of showcasing it outside of those trainings. And you even heard, like you said, Juan Salazar saying, like, I'm here to prove myself. I'm here because I need to get better. And that's what he's working through. He's getting some minutes, and that's a testament to his talent and his level of play right now, right off the gate, not knowing the game itself and learning as he goes. But ultimately, like, looking at that Sockers team last year too, is, yeah, they didn't do so well, but that experience is incredibly invaluable. And just that real time, just setting foot at the arena, it's the same field, same area, same boards. You get that experience, but that's just not there. And it's not a matter of wanting to risk that. It's not the smart play at this point.
There's still longer in the injury update. At least an SD wants to know that we're going to keep going. It's we're only halfway through. So sorry. Gabriel Costa, see him with the cast on still. He's got at least another 2-3 weeks with that cast on. Once the cast comes off, he can get back into practice. He can get back into fitness. So the Sockers realistically for Costa are targeting, I haven't heard this, but I would guess like the Milwaukee, Kansas City road trip, which is the week before the final weekend of the season. I think that would be a fairly realistic time to try and get Costa back, to try and get him a couple 3 games before the playoffs to get his legs underneath him. And then that brings us to Pee Wee and to Drew Ruggles. Pee Wee is just a walking wounded fife and drum corps of his own. I heard one of the trainers talking about, it's what part of him isn't banged up right now. He is just a walking mash unit. So I'm pretty sure that Pee Wee is going to be out this week. I don't have an official word on that, but just from what I've seen, now he's as tough an SOB as exists on the club. So if he did play, I will equally not be surprised. But I would personally pencil him out. And we showed you the play that Drew just got his ankle smashed. I wouldn't be surprised if they're both out this week, but stay tuned. There is a week to recover. There's a week for Paul Savage to do his magic and all of the technology to do its magic. So not impossible, but I'd say personally, I'd say doubtful for both of those guys this week. And I think once again, you just need to be really targeting March 3rd as the next Circle the Wagons game. And then guys who aren't hurt, like out of the lineup hurt, but yes, Craig Childs is banged up. Yes, he tweaked himself on Tuesday and played through it. Guerrero Pino got smashed at the end of the game. He was barely making it through the match at the end. Christian Gutierrez took a major knock in the fourth quarter in Ontario. He was having a hard time moving in overtime, and he toughed it out. Flavio Guzman came to this team with a bad hamstring and has been negotiating it through 4 matches in 10 days. If anyone could use just 2 weeks off, it's probably Flavio Guzman, and he's not going to get it because he's one of the only guys that's available. So, Leo, Charlie, Tavoy, Costa, Drew, Pee-wee, Childs, Pino, Christian. That's 10 guys. It's a 16-man team. It's a 20-man roster. And that's 10 guys that have something going on. So, it's crazy how fast this can happen. But then when you get to 3 matches in 6 days, it's not crazy. It's only crazy that when you don't have a lot of depth, something we've talked about since season 6, episode 1 of Soccer's Overtime, no M2, a lot of guys from Pollo to Rojo to Mojica, all these guys out the door, Jurado, out the door. Those are guys who would be in the lineup when the Soccers have injuries. And now we're down to rookies or to double shifting. So it is what it is, but the injury roundup is rough. We already talked about Kansas City. Toy Runner's ready to kit up. We want to keep winning, Justin. So that's a no from me, dog. But I appreciate you.
Randy Jackson just reference just always tickles me for some. It's one of those things where it's just like if executed correctly, it just love it.
So a critical week to heal up. It is a boot scooting Sunday. It is country night at Pechanga Arena as the Soccers and Kansas City Comets get together. Special ticket will get you in at 2:45 for the boot scooting line dancing clinic at 2:45. 5:05 is the kickoff, of course, for the Soccers and the Comets. Cowboy hat giveaway, Soccers cowboy hat giveaway while supplies last to the fans in attendance. There is the link right there, sdsoccers.com/ticket specials to get your boot scooting line dance pre-game entry. Should be a lot of fun on Sunday. Always like to see Kansas City come to town, legacy franchise. First time these two franchises met was 1982. So talking about 42 years of competition between the Soccers and Kansas City intermittently. And this should be a fun evening on Sunday.
Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to seeing a team that's fun to watch. Like, this is still a team that can take it to anybody, as we were saying earlier, to anybody. They took the Mexican teams to the limit. And while I don't necessarily want to see them take the San Diego Soccers to the limit, because, again, this injury list is just one of those things. It's domino effect. Because there's an injury here, another player has to play longer, opens themselves up for injury, and it just kind of cascades from there. And that's what we've been seeing here. So I think that, it's going to be a test to really come in and cement the Soccers as, what, we make it happen. We just put all these things in together, we MacGyver it, and a win comes out. And so far it's been working this season, but I'm not a fan of it, but it's just the nature so far. It should be a good game. Should be a really, really good game.
All right, last thing, looking ahead, of course, we'll have the broadcast. Tony and I will have the broadcast with Melissa May with our TVX Sports Video crew Sunday at 5 o'clock. As I mentioned obliquely when Juan Salazar was on, I continue to do PA for Snapdragon Stadium major soccer events. The CONCACAF W Gold Cup is getting underway tomorrow with group stage action, and group stage play will continue in San Diego on Saturday and then on Tuesday next week. A double header, in fact, Tuesday next week. So soccer's overtime must move once again. Like me at the first table, I sit down at Saquon for poker. I'm at the must move. We're going to be moving along. So I'll just, Erzat's production meeting, Tony, would you prefer Monday or Wednesday for soccer's overtime next week?
I think I'll take a Monday on that. I really like to flex that muscle. Double podcast. Let's double decorate. I think it'll be good to get that info out, and hopefully we get capture more people to go and see us at Snapdragon. Go see some Gold Cup action, some great stuff happening.
Outstanding. Okay, so programming note to everybody listening and watching. Next week, soccer's overtime will be on Monday night at 5 o'clock. On that show, we will reveal this year's Star Wars night kits, as well as our military night kits, which the clubs will be wearing that following weekend on March 1st and March 3rd, respectively. So stay tuned for that. We'll try and wrangle up a guest from Sunday's hopefully exciting win over the Kansas City Comets. But Tony and I will be with you Monday instead of Tuesday, because as talented as I am and as versatile as I am, Tony, I cannot do PA at Snapdragon in the middle of the first half and host this show.
Yeah, no, I think, just showing some humbleness there, because I think you can, Greg, actually.
No. It would be a bad show, and it would be a bad PA. It would be bad all the way around.
I'll be across the glass. We'll wave at each other that day. I'll be in the press box. I mean, we can make it happen. Just use some Snapdragon Wi-Fi, and no, it's fine.
It's decent. It's okay. Snapdragon Wi-Fi is okay. But yeah, so that'll be Monday next week. Can't wait. Big soccer week in San Diego coming up. All right, that does it. This edition of Soccer's Overtime, it's through. Time to bring in Bobby Cressy on the South Bay, available on the Cali Native album, available on music or Spotify or music. Support Bobby Cressy. Bandcamp, either on Bandcamp, you get the most money. Bandcamp, buy his album there. This has been season 6, episode 16. Painful Paul Savage is beginning the last week. All the points are painful. Paul, elbow, shoulder, back, hamstring, knee, calf, quad, all painful. Special thanks to Juan Salazar, our guest. Absolutely outstanding appearance. And Tony, thanks to you, my friend. Tell everybody where they can follow you.
Absolutely. You can go ahead and find me if you want to follow my life in any sense of the way, and just injury soccer wise. Back in the fray, unretiring _Tony Sanchez, San Diego Football for anything soccer in San Diego. The road to recovery continues. Craig?
Delightful. You can follow me on Twitter at 619 Sports. You can follow me on Instagram at 619 Sports and Life. You can listen to me Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Annie and Elston on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Until we reconvene Sunday at Pechanga Arena, for Tony Sanchez and Juan Salazar, I'm Craig Elston saying thanks to you for being a part of our Sockers family. We will talk to you later. Until then, have a great rest of your week, and go Sockers!